Welcome back to the channel, everybody, and today we are talking once again about TNXP stock. And for those of you guys who are Affluence Corporation shareholders, AFFU, I have a video coming out for you as well. Please be patient. I have been working the last several days, and I will have a video out as soon as possible. But I do appreciate you guys updating me on the new developments with the CEO interview. So we're going to talk about that one probably in the next video. But with that being said, I want to talk about Tonix. Okay, now Tonix is a stock that I've talked about a lot last year. So in 2024, we talked a lot about this company. And this is a stock that I believe has still tremendous potential. And I don't believe that the potential of this company has been fully recognized. In fact, if you look at where this stock was trading previously, I was part of this run when the company went up 10x basically overnight. Essentially what happened was the stock went from under 20 cents per share, and this is split adjusted. Now, they did a 1-for-100 reverse split to maintain their listing on the NASDAQ, which they've had no problem with since then. But the stock was under $1 per share, so they had to do a reverse split, which basically means, the price stays the same. The price changes, but the market cap stays the same, so you get less shares at a higher price is how it works. Now, when this reverse split happened, the equivalent was 20 cents per share, okay? $20, as you can see, is the current price. So where is that trading at right now, split adjusted? Well, if you don't account for the reverse split, then the current price is 20 cents. Now, do the math on that. If the current price is 20 cents, then not a lot has changed since I talked about this stock in terms of the share price back in 2024. However, a lot with the business has changed, okay? And that's the important thing to remember with this, is that when you have a business that is fundamentally improved in every single regard, but the share price has not improved. In fact, the share price, you could argue, has gotten worse over the last few months. Well, it has, So it was trading at a peak of 70 cents before the split happened, right? I'm thinking pre-split because this is when I owned the stock. And this is before it went on its 10x run. Now, the run was very brief. It happened in the pre-market. It went from under 20 cents. In fact, it was under 15 cents when I started accumulating shares. And then it went to the equivalent of, or I guess you could say before the split, it went to $1.94 per share. The equivalent of that price now is $194 per share. Now, the highest price we've seen, and this is right before the news came out regarding the TNX 102SL fibromyalgia drug, which was a game-changing announcement, was 70 cents per share, or $70 split adjusted. So it begs the question, why is the stock trading down so much? And oftentimes there's no good answers for these questions. Oftentimes, what happens is the stock simply trades down because there's not enough buyers to support the demand in terms of selling. But if you look at the actual market cap of this company, so this current market cap, approximately $178 million. I want you to understand that Tonix Pharmaceuticals is targeting a market that is worth $3 to $5 billion. And I kind of sound like a broken record when I make videos on Tonix, but that is the truth. That is the market they're targeting. And in fact, they have a monopoly on the market for fibromyalgia, essentially, due to the FDA regulations and the fact that the barriers to entry for the fibromyalgia market are extremely high due to all the regulations. So now you could argue that, the drug companies and the pharmaceutical companies have not been doing well. You could point at the current administration. You could point at various factors impacting the FDA, and the stocks that are regulated by the FDA in terms of why this stock has not performed well. But if you look at things from an investment perspective, such as I do, and I always look at things from an investment perspective, I'm not a trader. I am a long-term investor. I might invest in riskier companies, such as Tonix Pharmaceuticals, but I'm not a short-term trader by any means. And so when I look at this, I'm thinking to myself, the share price is at 20 cents per share, which is where it was prior to the split. Obviously split adjusted, 1-for-100. And I started buying the stock at 15 cents before all the positive news came out regarding the approval of Tonix Pharmaceutical or of TNX 102SL for sale and marketing. So when Tonix got that approval, I was thinking to myself, this stock has to be a lot more valuable now. They got the approval, but that's not what happened. And in fact, the exact opposite happened where we got to sell the news event. So even after all of these positive developments, the share price is trading down here, and it was trading under $20 per share. And if you guys remember, I made a video telling you to basically buy the stock when it was under $20 per share because I thought to myself, this is a good opportunity. Because when you look at all the positive catalysts that have happened, and TNX 102SL or Tomnia is not the only one. There's a lot more positive developments that have happened for this company since the 2024 timeframe when this stock did in fact go parabolic. And that was a good run. But I'm kind of surprised, and I'm not surprised at the same time. But, it's looking at this price action that kind of surprises me, I guess, because after all of this news, after all the approvals, everything, here we are. We're here right in front of your face. Tonix Pharmaceuticals is trading at basically the same price it was before the approval came out. Before Tomnia, the game-changing fibromyalgia drug, where they're targeting a $3 to $5 billion market and arguably up to a $7 to $10 billion market by 2033, I think it was, is what they were anticipating. So here we are. And the question you should ask yourself is if you were a Tonix Pharmaceuticals investor, or if you're considering becoming one, price is what you pay, value is what you get, to quote the famous Warren Buffett. And what that means is, you can pay $20 a share right now, but what kind of value are you getting for the company, for the actual business itself? And I would argue that you are getting a tremendous value for the current price versus the relative or the potential price, or I shouldn't say price, the potential value of the business, right? When I say the potential value, I'm talking about all the intellectual property. I'm talking about all of the drug pipelines. I'm talking about the FDA approval. I'm talking about the significant revenue increase now that they're going to be able to market and distribute Tomnia or TNX 102SL, which was the big approval that ultimately resulted initially in that parabolic run that happened around last December. So very exciting. A lot going on right now, but would I say that you're getting a good value for the price at the current price? I would say yes. And in fact, I would say just based upon this chart alone, you can see how much the stock has come down and how the support level, I would argue, is probably about $15 a share. That's really the solid level of support. I mean, if you see this thing dip down to $15 a share, I would be loading the boat. There's no reason for this stock to be trading down that low, in my personal opinion. I mean, they have a lot going for them. They are a blockbuster drug company that has had approval by the FDA. They've received approval for the only, and in fact, let me look at this piece of news. Here it is. So today, this news just came out, and I was making this video on Tonix Pharmaceuticals. I didn't even see this. That's crazy. So let me look at this news here. In fact, let's go over this. Sorry, I was watching The Shining. I was watching The Shining last night. I was doing some research on that's a great movie. If you guys have never seen The Shining, if you guys like that, that kind of stuff, it's a great movie. But I was doing some research on the movie last night. That's why that popped up. But so TNXP presents data on Tomnia at the 2025 American College of Rheumatology. And here it is. So I think this is the news that just came out. Yeah, 6 hours ago. I want to find the actual news that came out for this company, though. Let me see. I feel like the news just came out. It's probably just hitting the wires. It is up at 3.93% today on the news. So Tonix fibromyalgia drug shows significant pain reduction in study. Tomnia, a non-opioid treatment for fibromyalgia developed by Tonix Pharmaceuticals, demonstrated significant pain reduction compared to a placebo in a phase 3 clinical trial, according to data presented at the American College of Rheumatology convergence held in Chicago. The company, currently valued at $171 million, we just talked about the market cap, has seen its stock experience significant volatility this year, with shares down over 43% year to date, according to Investing Pro data. The 14-week Resilient study, which involves 456 participants across 34 states, showed that Tamnia produced a statistically significant reduction in weekly average pain scores at week 14. Tamnia was well tolerated with minimal effects on weight or blood pressure. The discontinuation rate was 19% for Tamnia compared to 20.8% for a placebo. So anyway, guys, I'll let you read that news. I'm going to leave this link in the description, but I just wanted to make this video on Tonix Pharmaceuticals. It's a great company. I think it's going a lot higher. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.